Thanks for stopping by to check out this Espgaluda II run. The goal of this video is to show you how to clear the game, essentially to get a 1cc in the easiest way possible. Now, Espgaluda II is not an easy game. I'm assuming you have some familiarity with the game going into this video. If you don't, I recommend you fire it up and play a few credits so that you get used to how the bomb system works, how the Kokusei system works with the green gems, and probably helps if you've already got to clear Espgaluda 1, because this game is a lot harder than that one. So the point of this game is to show you Asagi. She's one of the three characters. She is a complete unit, but you have to get later in the game. She makes the end of the game really easy compared to the other characters, but the beginning is a lot harder. So that's kind of the trade-off with her, but you know, if your run's not going well, at least you'll know that by the third or fourth stage. So starting the game off here, immediately what you want to do is Kokusei like I did there, and you want to get to the point there where you get to max level Kokusei. There's a ring around your character that'll go away if you do it exactly like I did it there. It's pretty easy. Just flip to Kokusei immediately as you start the game, and I would recommend just using rapid fire at that point until the ring around you closes. It's right before that first big enemy, so not a big deal there. For this first mini boss, I just like to take all the green gems I've got, blast them away. Pretty simple stuff. So speaking of Asagi, this first level, there's nothing special you really need to do other than do the Kokusei trick at the beginning. So that's one thing you'll have to do one time in the game, and what that level up does is essentially just gives you more gems per enemy, more green gems, which are a massive resource because they allow you to slow down the game. So other than that, don't worry about scoring. I will say this is not a scoring run whatsoever at all. The whole point of this run is to clear the game the easiest way possible. What I believe is the easiest way possible. I've probably spent, I don't know, 50 plus hours on this game in the last few months. I've cleared it with two of the different characters. I actually did it with the male character first, Tateha, and then moved to Asagi. And I initially thought Asagi was harder, but she's not. She is much easier. It's just that the first three levels, kind of four, of the game are more difficult. She makes the fifth and sixth levels so much easier than the other two characters. I'm going to show you that in this run. First boss here, again, nothing special. If you can avoid it, you just don't want to use any bomb. Feel free to use all your green gems though. This character in particular, her speciality, the reason she is such a unit, there's really two things. I'll show you the second part later, but the first and most apparent thing is when she's in Kokusei and you're lasering bosses, she will absolutely destroy them. Completely will destroy them. So if you have a solid stock of green gems going into a mini boss or a boss, there are often times you can kill them before they can do anything dangerous to you. And this includes later game bosses, and you're going to see that as the run goes. You get to skip so much of the difficult patterns, difficult areas with Asagi that you would have to deal with the other two characters. So that is like the biggest reason that she is incredible. But again, that really starts to manifest itself on the fifth and sixth stages. There are 6 stages in the game. Going into this, Kokusei right there, you know, you do want to score enough to get the 2 extends, which is really easy. I get the second extend at the beginning of the 5th level. Again, there are 6. You don't really need to be an expert scorer whatsoever in this game to get it. Just look for big bullet opportunities. If you do what I do, essentially, you'll get it. So again, a lot of bullets coming here. Kokusei into that, and turn off Kokusei. Going into this second mid-boss, basically what you want to try and do is have enough green gems right here by killing the guys on the left that you can get a proper kill here, right here. I do it just a bit too early. You'll see that the bullets turn red there because I run out of gems, so I don't get the score there. Right here again, boats coming into the left. As soon as you hear the little sound effect that says he's almost dead, just flip to Kokusei there. I had about 40 gems, and that's enough to just get the scoring bonus from him. Again, you don't need to worry too much about scoring. That's like the last thing that should be on your mind here, because if you just play the game normally and you're able to get through the same way I do here, it's not going to be a big deal. Rest of the second stage here, also nothing special that you need to do whatsoever. That stuff kind of starts in the third stage. I will say with Asagi, and you'll probably see me doing it, you're going to spend most of your time holding laser down. She's going to move pretty slow, but you'll see already I'm not close to fully powered up yet, and you'll see how wide those white shots are. Those are attaching essentially, so they kind of fan out to the left and right, and when they hit something, they'll just stay on that target until it dies. They're not incredibly strong, but for cleaning the Zako, the little enemies, they work incredibly well, and they'll get you through, again, stage 5 and 6 with so much more ease than the other characters. So Second boss here, he's also not too hard. Again, if you're struggling at all with these first two bosses, I would just recommend playing them over and over. You really want to try and get through the first stage and then up through here without using any bombs at all. On him, you can definitely bomb. It's not a big deal. I don't know if I do in this run or not, but you can definitely start using your bomb meter. One thing to really hone in on this game is resource management. Now you've got your green gems, which refill as you kill enemies, right? And then you've got your bomb bar, which is a very generous bomb bar because it's essentially up to 4 bombs per life. If you just tap it or you tap and hold it for a little bit, you can get 4 full bombs on one bomb bar. And you also get a couple, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 half bomb bar pickups throughout the game. So once I get to this pattern, this first section, I'll just flip because that gets a little bit hairy. And then right here, I just give it the last little gems I got, and then I do throw a little bit of a bomb here at the very end. This isn't like the most difficult pattern to get through, but again, I'm going for as much safety as possible with this run. I'm not trying to do anything special. I'm just trying to clear the game. So one other thing I want to call out at this point is if you're, I've played this game a lot for clear in particular, and if you're not looking as good at this point as I am, don't sweat it. I end up clearing the game with 2 extra lives in stock, so 3 out of 6 lives. And so there was a lot more room for error in this run, so don't sweat it. Beginning of the third level here, the secret to this is to stay near the middle. Like, if you move a lot, you're going to find yourself in trouble. I actually moved to the right there, which I shouldn't. Stay close to the middle. Again, with Asagi, hold laser. Like, she's getting close at this point with the power-ups, but one of the weird things that you may not notice about Galuda 2, even if you've played it a little bit, is you don't get fully powered up until right before the 4th boss. And again, on a game with 6 stages, that's like kind of rare with shmups, or at least more modern cave shmups, where you're not actually fully powered up until well over halfway through the game, which is kind of interesting. But by the time she gets fully powered up there, that's when she becomes a total unit. Again, into the 5th and 6th stages. The 5th and 6th stages, once you've kind of practiced them a little bit, the stages themselves, you'll be able to get through without losing a life really easily, which, if you've played other cave games, bullet hell shmups, that's usually when the danger really presents itself. So here we go into the third mini-boss. From this point on, you cannot bomb, and that's because you're trying to get the extend. So that means don't press the bomb button, but also don't get hit if you want to use Kokusei. You also have to destroy all 6 turrets on this guy. So you immediately want to aim to the left one, like I do here. A little bit of RNG with the pattern, so I do flip to Kokusei there because it gets a bit hairy, but flip right out. I'm able to get through that, get the second turret. I immediately go over to the right because this one starts pumping out some crazy patterns, as you can see. This is definitely getting hairy. I do get that one there. I start going for what would be the 5th position turret here. Gets hairy, and at this point I'm not trying to aim right now in particular, but I do get it right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and move over. You'll see the 2 at the top, so I get the top left one, top right one. This is a common area to lose a life. I would rather lose a life right here than bomb. If you lose 1 life on this guy, it's not a big deal, right? It's not a huge deal at all. But don't bomb because you're going to get a fresh life at the end of the stage. So right here, it's really nice to have gems at this point, like 150 plus like I've got, because you go through this pattern, you can flip and kill them immediately. The pattern after this that you can see coming is a little bit hairy. It's not too bad, some tap dodging, but if you can do it like I did there, or if you die, when you die, you'll get 250 gems back in stock. So you can definitely have some gems for that part there. Again, if you die there, don't sweat it. That's like one of the hairiest parts of the run, and that's a common reset part of the run with Asagi there. If that doesn't go well, or if you've already died once before that part and you die a second time there, I'd probably recommend a reset if you're getting close. So you also can't bomb here. So what you want to do is focus on getting these there's going to be 2 of these big guys. Get them dead immediately. So as soon as I get in front of him, pop Kokusei. He'll pop once like that. Don't uncocksei. He has another pattern, so if you do it like that, it's totally safe. He doesn't even get to fire a single bullet in the second pattern. Little interim here, which gives you some charge up time, charge up your green gems, and so nothing too crazy here. Again, hold that laser. It's so spread out at this point, and then again, just get right in front of this guy again, flipping the Kokusei at this moment. Make sure you don't accidentally hit a bullet because you'll bomb and you'll lose that life. Same thing here, he pops once, just wait. Looks like he got like 3 bullets off that weren't even coming close to me. Kill the last of the enemies here, and then we've got the hidden extend at this point, and this is the only time in this run I'm going to use Kokusei Zeshikai, which you need to hold down the Kokusei button to initiate. So hold down the Kokusei button and fire on that area I just fired on, and as long as you have not used a bomb from the mini-boss onward, you are golden there. Into the third boss here, she, things are stepping up. Her first phase is not too bad, and so I think I can get through her first phase typically without Coxswain and without Bomb. If you need to use a little bit of both, like, don't sweat it, again, especially as you're practicing. I'm going to reiterate, I get through this entire run with 2 extra full lives, which means, 8 bombs, at least 500 green gems that I didn't need to use. And so because of that, you're going to have a lot more leeway on your first clear. Probably just, you don't need I'm not calling my run perfection so far, but you don't need the level of good play that I've achieved so far. If you have a death by this point and maybe your bomb bar is not full, it's not a big deal. Keep rolling with it, right? Get to that point where you're getting a little bit better with each run. This part tends to get a little hairy, so I'm going to bomb through that. On bosses, I typically like to hold the bomb down. If you tap it, it still uses a quarter, and so if you hold it for a little bit, you can still get it to only use a quarter, so that's just something to keep in mind. A couple of easier patterns here as long as you know that they're coming. So just study the patterns in this middle part. These will either come in from the left or the right, but you can squeeze through there. This can get a little hairy. I think I can typically just kind of roll through it, but here I don't get started on the right foot. So again, do a big old bomb there, get her through that. While we're talking about bombing on bosses, one thing to note is that if you kill a boss phase with just regular, laser or shot, they give you gems. It can be anywhere between like 50, and one of the forms of the last boss I think will give you like almost a couple hundred. So it's a big deal. And so where you can, you actually want to break individual life bars of the bosses with just laser. And so sometimes you'll see me actually, I haven't done it this run yet, but I will, flip out a cock save right before I hit the section, the segment of the life bar. And I'll bring that up when I do it. But I do that because if I'd killed them in Coxay, it would use a lot more of my gems and flip them to gold again, which is a scoring technique, but I'm not trying to score. I flip back so that I get those, 50, 60, 70, 80 gems for the next phase, which is survival. Things start to get a little bit easier on this stage, but also a little bit hairy. And so it's all because of the one enemy type, these guys that fly in. I guarantee if you're working toward 1cc in this game, these guys are going to kill you at some point. They're just bastards. That's just what they do. Those extra bullets that they shoot out, especially if you're flipping back and forth between Coxay, can get weird. So these big ships here, you just want to flip into Coxay in front of them and kill them best you can. You'll see here I almost get sniped. That's what I'm talking about. And in the heat of the moment when you're playing, it can be really tough. Here, I get a little off-center. It would be nice if I had a bomb chip here. I get lucky and make it through that. I was almost expecting to die there, and if I did, again, it wouldn't have been a big deal right there. Not a big deal at all. So get through that. Here's where you start to see a little bit of the power of Asagi. You'll see a lot more of it later, but here you can just melt this boss. Super easy. So these first couple patterns are easy. This one's just tapping. It looks intense, but you're just tapping to the right, basically. Just tap to the right there. And then at this point, I just flip. Coxay, you'll have a couple hundred gems at this point. Kill that, you'll see how many gems I still have left. Kill a couple of the little enemies there to get some more gems. And again, immediately I just flipped to Coxay. There's essentially no danger at this boss. A little bit at the beginning, which is going to be even more than some of the bosses coming up, the mid-bosses. So finally, at this point, right here, we are fully powered up. So again, we're at the end of the 4th stage, finally fully powered up. So you'll see how wide everything is now. Again, hold laser down as much as you can because it just makes this game so much easier. It just wipes the screen out. Here, this part's not too difficult, but you do want some positioning with these flood of guys that are going to come in. I usually will drift off to the left here like this, and then I use this as like Coxay, kill some of them, get through, and then I'm just going to go left to right really slowly, holding laser the whole time. You'll see I'm just kind of tapping over and over, and that ends up with just enough room here that I get some gems and I get through without dying. That was a common point of death for me. So if you do it like I did there, not too bad. 4th boss, he's also the 2nd mini-boss. You may remember him. He has a car now instead of a massive gun. First phase there is easy, not particularly difficult. You shouldn't need a Coxay or bomb, but not a big deal if you need to. This second phase, as soon as you're feeling things are hairy, sometimes it's right here. I get pretty good RNG there. Go ahead and Coxay. Again, 213 gems. You don't want to waste those. I think I'm going to go ahead and flip here. Oh, no, I don't on this one. Right back there is usually when I'll flip to Coxay and just finish him off. Looks like because I'm doing so well in this run, I'm just like, let's roll. But I look up and see that he still has a ton of life left, and this starts to get hairy, so I flip to Coxay there and destroy it. I honestly could have done it earlier, and it would have made no material difference because, again, Asagi absolutely melts bosses in Coxay mode. This pattern here can be a little bit random. Sometimes it basically gives me no way out. Right here, sometimes that pattern will go all the way to the side, and I just take a death. So be on the lookout for that. Here, you just kind of want to loop through these guys, not a big deal. And then things get a little bit hairy here. I think I take my first death of the run right there. And then if he had a lot more life than that, I would just flip to Coxay and finish him off right there, but he only had a little bit, so not a big deal there. This pattern is not like the hardest thing in the world, but again, I have 287 gems. Let's let nothing go to waste. I flip and made a little bit of a mistake there. I actually wanted to flip back out of Coxay right before I popped him right there and got all that gold. Because again, I would have ended up with 100 plus gems. Instead, I've only got 10. If I had that 100 plus, it would make this last part a lot easier. I would have had to use less bombs. So, but not a big deal. Just do a little bit of dodging and then immediately do a massive bomb here. And you can just kind of finish him off. So, honestly, that is, with her, kind of the last hard boss of the run, at least the way we're going to play it, right? You have to get here with some decent resources, so it would be nice if you could get here with a few lives. So I've only died once, and so I'm right about to hit the second extend, the second scoring extend, and I got the hidden extend, so that'll take me up to 5 out of 6 lives. If you've got like 4 out of 6 lives at this point, once you get the second extend, you're sitting really pretty. So 5th level, honestly, this is where Asagi starts to shine. Like 5th and 6th levels, like the final couple levels of cave games are tough. This is not, like, it's not rocket science. Like, it's pretty simple stuff, which is kind of crazy. So again, the whole idea behind the 5th and 6th level, sit there and hold laser, and then if things get hairy, just flip to Coxay. You're going to be farming so many gems that as long as you're not flipping like endlessly, you're going to have gems. Like right here, I almost maxed out at 500. This part I know gets a little bit hairy, so again, we want to take the safe route as much as possible. This ship, there was one right before it. You want to flip to Coxay right now, because oftentimes it doesn't have nearly as much life as you'd expect for a big ship, and if you kill it before you Coxay, you'll just have to dodge all those bullets. These next 2 ships are different. This one, kill immediately. You just want to kill this guy immediately. You'll have enemies firing from left and right. It's really annoying. Kill immediately. And then again, just go to full-on freaking tank unit mode here, lasering, just making there's not even that much dodging to do. Again, harder dodging earlier in the game. This part, I just like to flip to Coxay. Again, I've got almost 400 gems. Just clean stuff up here. Flip back. I screw up a little bit. I probably should have gone a little bit longer on the Coxay, and so I end up bombing out of here, or Coxaying out of here. A little bit of both, I guess. Second of these ships, again, kill it immediately. Just get it destroyed. This part is something I want to call out. Right here, you want to just Coxay these tanks. They have two taps there. Kill them, flip back, farm a couple gems, flip back, kill it, flip back. You want to stay in that bottom right corner. It seems like that's not where you'd want to be, but that is where you want to be. Flip back, so there's 3 of them. Get those guys, and then you've got one more of the easy ships. And I say easy, it's just because they die quickly. Coming up, so blast through the first phase, and then flip to Coxay, and then you'll get a half bomb here. And that's the 5th level. Honestly, it's easier than the 4th level. You're fully charged up. Like, I could probably do that run 10 out of 10 times without dying on that stage. So I practiced a little bit. There you go. Here's Sesedi, the 5th boss. She is the first boss from the original Espgaluda. You may remember her, as well as the mini-boss on the final stage of that game. This pattern is dodgeable. It's not like the hardest thing ever, but again, use your resources. If you're dying with bombs in stock or gems in stock, you're doing it wrong. And it's unavoidable, but if you're if you're dying 2 or more lives in your run where you've got bomb stock, like you're playing too aggressively for how I'm trying to show you to easily 1cc the game. Again, I say easily. Easier, right? The easiest possible way. So this pattern here is not too bad. I let 3 go by, and then I always just will bomb through this 4th one. Hold on to it for just a second, and you get through like her first little tap there, which helps. This pattern's not too bad. You just kind of want to go left to right here and get her there. So at this point, again, you want to know how many gems you've got, how many bombs you've got. I've only got 84 gems and no. Looks like I kept a little chunk of the very end of my bomb meter there, and that's another thing you want to keep an eye on. If you're going to do a bomb and you're close to the end of your meter, but you're not there, you can let it go with just the tiniest, couple pixels on that, and you can still have a bomb left. So that's what I did there. I did that on purpose, and then was able to use that bomb to get through. This is another pattern that there seems to be some RNG in play, or at least, I don't know. I often will die here. I do get through it here, which is nice. This pattern is easy as long as you're in front of her. Just hug the side that's straight. Very easy. And then you want to stop shooting. If you shoot these rockets, the whole screen just gets inundated with missiles. You're going to die if you don't have any bombs there. And then here she mixes the two things together, and it gets difficult. So I take a death there, totally expected. Used all my resources up exactly where I wanted to be, and then I just want to finish her off. So I do flip back from Kokusei right there, but I do it just a little bit too early, and so I end up having to kill her with the bomb, so I don't get gems. But I've got 147 gems here, which is enough to get through this last phase. Again, not super difficult because we're using our resources effectively. Again, Asagi using Kokusei on bosses is just like a free life bar kill. It will kill any life bar that they've got. And so there's that. We're going into the final stage now, and honestly, the way that I'm able to do this is even easier than the 5th stage, which seems not intuitive, but again, it starts a little bit more hairy. You'll see there I do get a little scared and just flip Kokusei. You want to watch out, these guys on the right side will snipe you, so I like to come over and just hang out here for a sec and get them dead. The whole thing with this stage too, you don't need to learn patterns really at all. It's just hold down laser. She's going to wipe the whole screen out, and if things get hairy, use a tap bomb or Kokusei, and like there I do. I want to get from left to right, and then just you're going to end up farming so many gems because there's a lot of enemies, but most of them don't get a chance to do anything because of how wide Asagi's laser is. So just kind of rove around left to right, get through these. For the last stage of a cave game, with the way Asagi handles it, it's easy. So here we go. We want to flip to Kokusei right here, and this boss is just dead. First mini boss of stage 6 gone, just like that. I promise you, I can tell you from experience, the other two characters, it is not nearly that easy. She makes both mini bosses on this stage completely trivial, completely easy, as long as you get to them with gems, which if you do it, like I do it here, you can totally do. So again, same thing here. This gets a little hairy. Flip to Kokusei. Same thing, right? Hold that laser down. Again, make sure you're holding the laser pretty much the whole time. Get through some guys here. There is a big ship coming up. This guy right here. First patterns here aren't too bad. So, you get Kokusei kind of early. He also pops twice. And so if you do flip to Kokusei, you want to make sure you get through both phases. I screw it up here and flip out. Shouldn't have done that because you'll see there's more coming. So I flip back to Kokusei, which ultimately ends up spending more gems than it would have if I had just stayed in Kokusei. Right? They don't want you to just be able to flip back and forth at will. So farm the last little bit of gems here because the second mini boss is coming up. But again, we make him totally trivial. 344 gems, bullets start coming. Okay, it's looking hairy. Boom, gonna flip to that and melt his entire first life bar. I do the flip back good there, so I go from 21 gems up to 58, which isn't a ton. I do just spend them immediately. I know this pattern a little bit. You could just bomb earlier than I do here. I do end up bombing though. So, you get a lot of slowdown here, which is super friendly, but I do end up just bombing to finish him off. Again, no danger. It's wild that the mini bosses get easier as you go through the game, but with Asagi, they do. They get easier. So, and again, it's just because of how powerful she is and how many green gems you're able to farm here. So, it's a little hairy here. I almost bombed through that, but fortunately the stream ended there, so no biggie there. Again, same thing here. Left to right, Kokusei if you need to. Probably should have Kokusei there. That was a very close death. I remember when that happened. I was like, holy crap. But here we go. And then at this point, we're at the Alice hallway. If you've played Esperade or Espgaluda, there's Alice hallways in each of the games. Look at how wide Asagi's shot is. This is also much, much, much easier than in those other games and with any other character. So, again, Kokusei if you need to. Bomb chip if you need to. But again, her shot is so wide that you want to kind of stay as much as you can to the center until you're going for these particular enemies. And then just right to left, right to left. I flip here just to get some of these guys out of the way. I almost get hit there, which because Kokusei would have just taken half my bomb meter. You do get half a bomb right before the last boss. And so knowing that, what I typically would try and do is if I have a full bomb here, I would bomb twice because it's going to get replenished. So just know that in the back of your mind, right? I call it time and score. Just knowing what resources are coming up, what resources you've got. At this point, I'm not going to get a full bomb bar back, but that's fine. Anytime I bomb here at the end, I go to the right, and then you can just kind of tap to the left very slowly, as I do a lot in this run. Just kind of finish that off. So we're at the last boss here. 2 life bars in this one, which is more friendly than Espgaluda or Espgaluda, so not too bad here. Raid has 3 and Galuda has like 17, I swear. So same thing here, 413 gems, and I've got over half a meter bomb there. So this first pattern, let the easy stuff come. Flip to Kokusei, and guess what? We're just going to hang out and completely destroy it in complete ease. Flip back, I do it successfully there, so I go from 166 to 213, which is nice. Flip again, I've got a couple hundred gems. And I almost get there, flip back, and I just finish it off with a bomb. Again, for the first life bar of the last boss, it's easy. It's easy. So, second life bar. The final reason Asagi completely owns is because you get to go through the hardest part of the game without a bullet even getting close to you, and that is the final life bar of the last boss. And I'll show you how to do that. You get to completely not have to deal with it whatsoever, which is amazing. So there are three life bars, or three segments of the final life bar here, and so I've got a good amount of bomb there at the bottom. You can see I've got 134 gems. I'm just going to use my resources, but at this point I've got 4 lives. Like, this is a guaranteed 1cc. This is, this is in the bag at this point. So again, dodge through what you can, but use your resources, right? So I flip to Kokusei, exhaust that. Once I exhaust that, go ahead and bomb. I get a little greedy here. Probably should have just bombed earlier, but not a big deal. Now, in the second life bar, you want to make sure that you end with 250 gems or more. The easiest way to do that is to just die. So you want to die on purpose. And again, I've got 4 lives, but you want to die on purpose at the end of this second fragment. And so I actually do really well here, considering I think I've got no bomb left, and I've got 67 gems that I've exhausted there. I actually live a lot longer than I expected here. I get through that, which is cool. Again, not a huge deal if you die, because if you die in this, just use your bombs. Save your 250 gems. Just use bombs. If you died right here, you'd have a full bomb meter to finish her off, and it would finish this phase off. I should say them. It's Boy and Girl fused. But right here, I actually end up doing pretty well. But in my head, I know I'm going to die on purpose. Like, even if this is going super well, you want to die because you need 250 gems. So there it is. Exhaust my bomb. Not a big deal. You're not bombing the final form at all. Easiest part right here, which is the hardest part. Sit there and laser on her until you see her life bar move. You want to wait. So I saw it move. 250 gems plus, Kokusei, and guess what? Game's over. This pattern is so much more difficult on the other 2 characters. It is so much more difficult. If you've played Galuda 1 and you know the final pattern of that boss, you can't bomb. And so Kokusei is very dangerous, and it's just insanely difficult. So hopefully this video helps you in some way. I know I'm covering a lot of ground in the course of a run. Obviously listen to what I'm saying, but at the same point, go back and watch the run. Again, the key notes here are that things get easier thanks to powering up by the end of the 4th stage. 5th and 6th stages are way easier with Asagi than the other characters, and honestly, they're not super difficult. You probably take a death on the 5th boss. You'll probably take a death on the 6th final boss. And those 2 deaths I would expect. And if you take 2 to 3 more deaths before that in the game, you're in good shape. So, let's say you take a death on the 3rd boss, or maybe the hidden extend on the 3rd level, and then the 3rd boss, the 4th boss, the 5th boss, and the 6th boss, you're still good, right? You're still good. So you can, this is a pretty decent run for me, again, finishing with 2 extra lives. And so you don't need to play quite this well in the way I played for this run to get the 1cc. So just remember the little things I talked about, changing out of Kokusei before you destroy a boss's segmented bar so that you get the gems instead of the gold. The second extend, if you're playing, if this game is pretty friendly, if you get to the last boss on 1 credit, it's probably harder to get there without the second extend than to get there with. So make sure you get the hidden extend, which I kind of showed you. Again, no bombing from the from the 3rd stage mini boss on. You have to destroy all 6 turrets at the top, and then at the end of the stage, use the Kokusei Zeshikai, which is holding down the Kokusei button instead of just tapping it. If you have any questions, or if you're running into struggles that weren't covered in the video, please feel free to comment. I promise I'll get back to you. Want to help anyone striving to 1cc some of these difficult games. And again, I just want to say thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was helpful for you. And I'm going to go ahead and end with that. Again, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below.